Hello, welcome to a new vlog. In this one, we are going to be reading single dad romances, at least for this weekend. It might lead into next week. I don't know how many we're gonna read. I have 3 here, and I for sure want to read 2. And then if I'm still in the romance mood and wanting to keep reading this trope, then I will continue on to the 3rd. But I'm partway through the first one right now, so we're gonna start off with Caught Up by Liz Tomford. This one, obviously, single dad romance. We got the main character, the hero, is a professional baseball player for the Chicago MLB team, and then the girl, she is a chef, a pastry chef, and she goes to like really high-end restaurants, but she has like 2 months off for the summer, so she wants to spend time with her dad, who is the like coach of this baseball team. And the only way to do that and be able to travel with the team is to be the nanny for the hot single dad. And he's a single dad because the mom had the baby. He didn't even know she was pregnant. She showed up at her doorstep with a 6-month-old and was like, "This is your baby. I thought I could do it on my own, but I don't want to be a mom." He stepped up, decided to, obviously take care of his son. He's like a toddler. He can say a couple of words like hi and dada and stuff like that, but he can't walk yet, in the book at least. So yeah, I'm on page 128, so chapter 16. I started it today when I was at work and just having a really good time with it. So yeah, this is the first one. It's the 3rd book in this Windy City series, and in the first one I read, it was called Mile High. I gave it 4 stars, and the second one, The Right Move, is a 5-star for me. I love The Right Move, so I have high expectations for this one since the second book in the series was so good, and so far it's going good. They have a little bit of tension just because the girl is a little bit sassy, and she's 25, he's 32, so there's a little bit of an age gap. And she's just like a free spirit chef who's on a break, and he is like very strict dad, kind of just overly protective of his son. But I'm having a good time so far with like their banter, and the kid is cute because he's like a baby. Sometimes I don't really like kids in books, but this one's not pissing me off so far, at least. I mean, he's a baby, so he's really cute. But anyway, this is the one we're starting with, and then after that I want to jump into Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is also a continuation of a series. That's why I'm like motivated to read it. It's the 2nd book in the Chestnut Spring series, which is Elsie Silver's like cowboy romance series, and there's 5 books. I own all 5 of them, but I've only read the first one because this is the second one. And the guy in this book, his name is Cade, and he is introduced in the first book. He's the hero's grumpy brother in that one, so we got to meet him, and I thought he was interesting in that book, but he was obviously just like grumpy older brother who had a kid. And he is apparently 13 years older, and same thing, she's the nanny in this one. So I don't know how old the kid is. I can't remember from the first book. I read that book back in October or November of last year, and we are in July. So I can't really remember that first book a whole lot, but out of all 5 of the books, everybody says that the second book is the best in the whole series. So I do have a little bit of high expectations for this one as well, just because if it's the best in the series and it's the second one, like I really need to love it to want to be able to continue on if the next books aren't as good. I don't know. Anyway, heard this one is amazing. I'm really excited to start it. So Heartless, and it'll be my second Elsie Silver. I haven't read like Wild Love or anything else she's put out, so. And then if I have time, I hauled another single dad romance at the beginning of this year because this book has been on my radar since like 2019. I've always wanted to read this book, but the cover is so gross. Like the original cover, it's like just a shirtless man, but like sometimes the shirtless man on a cover will piss me off, but this one I'm just like, oh my god, can it be like more obvious that this is like a romance book, guys? Like I like that there are more discreet covers nowadays, so you're not just like reading a book with washboard abs on the front anymore. But I saw that this one had like a cover that wasn't just abs, and I was like, hey, I could get that in paperback now. A Nordic King by Karina Halley. I don't know if I've read a book by her before, but this one I'm interested in because it's a single dad and he's a king, and I know that the 2 kids are both girls, so it's like a king and then a couple little princesses, and the mother passed away, so that's what happened to their mom. But it's a royal romance book. I do love royalty, especially with Bridgerton and everything happening right now. Very in. So if I have time and if I'm still in the mood to read a single dad romance book after reading 2 of them back to back, then I will read this one, but no promises. But this is the TBR that we are working with. Hopefully they're gorgeous, and I will vlog a little bit here and there of just what's going on as well, because tomorrow we're headed up to the lake for a 4-day weekend. Tomorrow's the 4th of July. I'm going to be reading romances at the lake. It's going to be a great time. Mostly this is just going to be focused on reading. I'm going to tell you my thoughts and opinions on these books as it's happening. Hello, good morning. Happy 4th of July. Not the 4th when you're watching this, but it's the 4th for me, so hello. I did put on this little lightweight long sleeve just because it's white and blue, and it says surf style, like it's giving beachy vibes, and I'm going to a lake, so feels fitting. But anyway, we're about to head out soon. I just finished packing, and then I dug this book out of my bag that I just packed so that I could give one more final update before we go, because we got like a 2.5 hour drive ahead of us. I can't read in the car because that makes me sick. So, I'm not gonna be able to read this morning, but I just read a couple more chapters, and I am over halfway through now because I was reading last night and a little bit this morning. So this book is a little bit less than 400 pages. And I'm on page 246, so just flying through it. I am still really enjoying it, liking this couple. I'm having a great time. Obviously, it's a romance, so I don't want to spoil like what's happening as far as like the conflict, but in the end that they're gonna get together and, be together forever, happily ever after, whatever. So right now they are fighting the urge of being fully together because they know that they have a deadline of 3 weeks until she has to go to Los Angeles to work in the kitchen that she promised she was going to work in. So yeah, I'm really liking the story. They have already had sex. That happened at like the 200 page mark, so like halfway through, which I like. I don't like when it's right at the beginning of the book. I want a little bit of angst and a little bit of yearning before then. But yeah, I'm gonna keep reading this today. I hope I can finish it today once we get to the lake and get settled in and everything. I just want to sit on the porch and read a little bit, but yeah, just having a really good time. The main character can be a little bit annoying sometimes, the girl, as far as like she doesn't really know what she wants, but I mean, who knows what they want all the time, can't fault her for it. She's just like discovering herself. But this book is set in July and August, so I feel like it's the perfect time to read it. And we're meeting the characters that are going to be in the 4th book in the series, because the main guy in this, his name is Kai, and his brother Isaiah is the hero of the 4th book. And we also meet the girl Kennedy because she's the team's like physical therapist. Get to see them, and they're already like flirty in this one, but she's very standoffish because Isaiah is a little bit of a man whore, but he's really funny. I think he's going to be a good like main character in the 4th book. But yeah, just having a really good time, and I will update you more later, hopefully once I've finished it. But I'm really excited to get headed up to the lake soon. Hello, I've been at the lake house all day and almost done with this book. I'm on page 328 and still liking it. Right now I think I'm gonna give it a 4-star, but obviously I haven't finished it yet. The main character, the girl, she's a little bit cringy. She's pissing me off a little bit. It's just taking her so long to like come to terms with her feelings and everything, and it's a little obnoxious. But I'm really liking the main hero character, and the kid doesn't piss me off at all in this book. He's really cute. He's a toddler, so he's just adorable. But yeah, almost done. Gonna keep reading, hopefully finish this tonight and get a start on Heartless. But I've just had the most amazing day at the lake. I got to lay out in the sun, got in the water a little bit, and then we went into town and got dinner. But yeah, just gonna keep reading. We might watch a little bit of our show tonight, and yeah, just reading with the windows open and listening to the water. It's just so beautiful to read up here. I love it so much. Good morning. The sun is shining through crazy right now, and that's actually what woke me up. It's like 6:30 right now. It is so early. Hi. Anyway, it's morning, very early, and last night I left off on page 362. So I have 30 pages left. Yeah, because there's 392. So I have 30 pages exactly. I just want to sit down, finish this right now, and be able to do a final rating. Like I said, it's feeling like a 4 stars, but we're gonna see how it wraps up. But yeah, gonna finish this right now, this morning, and then I'm really excited to get started on Heartless today. Today we're gonna go on a mission to try to find me some water shoes because I really want to go swimming, but when you first get in the water by our property, there's a lot of rocks and then a lot of like mushy sand, and so I wore my flip-flops to get past the rocks, but then once I got to the mushy sand, it kept like sticking, so I kind of just need some water shoes because I really do want to be able to go swimming. So that is the hope. I'm gonna finish this up and I will give you a little wrap up right after, but yeah, just super early, and I think I see a pelican on the water. Kind of hard to spot. Wow. You can't really tell because its wings are in, but that's not a goose. It's got a big old beak. That's a pelican. Oh my god. Jordan's grandma says that there's not a lot of pelicans at the lake anymore, but there's just one single one by himself. Anyway, my camera can't really pick it up, but that's cool. Okay, hi. I'm just sitting on the floor because the sun is really coming in through these windows. Like, when the sun rises over the lake right here, it is just blinding. But it's like 7 a.m. right now, and I did finish caught up, so I want to give my final rating. I am going to settle on a 4 star. I had a really fun time reading this. Like, it just took a little over 2 days, so very easy read. And I felt like I read it at the perfect time because I hauled this book last year. Didn't pick it up right away, obviously, and then I wanted to read it for this challenge because it's like reading single dad romances for a week or a weekend. We'll see how long it takes me. But the main character in this story, you start off in the month of July and she's 25, and then the story kind of goes over the course of 2 months, and it doesn't say her birthday day exactly, but it says in August she turns 26. And for me, it's July 5th today, you know, the day after the holiday. I'm 25, but next month in August, I'm gonna be 26. So very kind of random on that. But yeah, anyway, really like this story. The main characters could be a little annoying at times. They're both kind of martyrs doing what people expect of them, even though people don't really have the expectation of that. They just kind of assume that people have expectations on them and they want to like be the best they can, which is not a bad thing, but they weren't prioritizing their own happiness for the majority of the story, which can be frustrating. Like the little bit of that like miscommunication trope, like if they just talked to each other, they probably could have figured it out a little bit sooner, but that's all romance books. I mean, come on. But yeah, I did dog ear like one of my favorite quotes. I obviously highlighted just throughout the book whenever I found a line that I liked, but I really liked when she was kind of trying to run away. He was like, if you ever decide to stop running and make a home, his eyes are begging, pleading, make it with me. Oh, so cute. But yeah, really ended up liking this couple. The kid was cute. He was a little toddler the whole time, so kind of just a vibe. But I'm gonna mark this as read on Goodreads, give it a 4 stars, and then I'm going to get started in on Heartless, obviously second book in the Chestnut Spring series. This one just feels perfect to read up at the lake. Obviously by the cover you can tell this book is country, and we're in Bear Lake, you know, we're out in the country right now. This just feels like the perfect setting to read this. I'm so excited. This one's a little bit longer. It's like 470 pages, and Caught Up was just a little bit less than 400, so that's fine. Hopefully I fly through it. High expectations on this one. It's everyone's favorite in the series, so hopefully it's a 5-star stunner. But yeah, going to take a break, watch Love Island, then I'm gonna get started on this bad boy and just have another relaxing day at the lake. Really quick, forgot to mention, I looked up when the 4th book comes out. It comes out next week on July 11th. So very excited. In the epilogue of this book, Isaiah and Kennedy get drunkenly married in Vegas. So I feel like that's where the fourth book is going to start off, is like they're married now. She can't really stand him because he's a playboy, and he is like claiming I'm a changed man. So I think it's going to be a funny dynamic, like funny guy, kind of grumpy cat girl, drunkenly married in Vegas. So yeah, fourth book comes out next week. I feel like I read this one at legit the perfect time, and next week I might get it in paperback or just read it on my Kindle or something. But I am really excited for that fourth book now, and like the characters are fresh in my brain. Anyway, forgot to mention that. Looked up and I was like, it comes out on July 11th, 7/11. That's literally next week. Lots of people on the water today. Hi, it has been like 12 hours since I've given you an update. It's been a whole day. As you can see, I got a little bit burned because I spent most of the day just laying out in the sun, tanning and reading. Went for a swim in the lake and it was freezing. I don't care how cold the water is. I always just want to swim because I love swimming. So that was a lot of fun. Went swimming, and yeah, I've been reading Heartless all day. So I'm going to kind of give initial thoughts. Now that I'm a decent chunk in, I can give you like more info about the characters and the story and everything. But Jordan's grandma and his aunt showed up like 3 hours ago or so, and we've just been chatting since they got here. We just had dinner and cleaned up, and then they had to go into town to the Ace Hardware to get some stuff. So I got the place to myself for a little bit. So I figured perfect time for an update. It's just the most beautiful weather. We have all the windows open, so if you hear the waves or the birds or anything, it's just life happening out there. But anyway, so Heartless. I understand why the girlies love this one. It has been so good so far as like the banter and everything. But we got the two main characters, Cade, who is the grumpy older dad, and then Willa, who is the hot young nanny. So same premise is Caught Up as far as that, and it's the same premise too as like the main girl isn't normally a nanny, just like in that book. In this one, she is a bartender, but the bar that she's working at is renovating to turn into like a venue, and it's owned by her brother, so she works for her brother at his bar, but it's going to be closed for 2 months in the summer for renovations. And Willa is the best friend of the main character from the first book, and the main character from the first book is Summer. And obviously in the first book, Summer fell in love with a bull rider, so now she lives out in the country with him and his family. And Cade, the main character in this book, he's in charge of the family ranch, so he runs the ranch. His dad is just a little bit too old to do it now, and he has a 5-year-old son named Luke, which I really like because I have a nephew named Lucas, so I just think that name is adorable. But yeah, so there's Cade and Luke, and then Willa, who is Summer's best friend, and she just wanted to hang out with Summer in the summer while she had 2 months off. And Summer was like, well, Cade needs a nanny because the dad is, you know, too old to farm and too old to watch a crazy 5-year-old all day. And Willa's logic was like, well, I work with rowdy boys being a bartender all day long, so I can handle a rowdy 5-year-old, because that's kind of Luke's main quality in this book, is he's just like a crazy 5-year-old boy because, you know, obviously. So that's the setup. Cade is grumpy and overprotective, just like the dad in the last book. He doesn't want to trust anybody, but there's like a 2-month expiration date, which is the same thing as the last book. So I feel like if you really love Heartless and you haven't read Caught Up yet, and you like these same tropes and everything, I feel like Heartless is just a little bit better version of Caught Up, because, you know, I'm not even halfway through yet, but I do think I prefer these characters and this writing style just a little bit more. With Caught Up, I really do love Liz Tomford's writing. I mean, I gave Right Move 5 stars, and that's one of my like favorite romance books ever, is The Right Move. So I really do like Liz Tomford's writing, but it was a little bit cheesy at times. Like, there were some lines that I underlined and I literally wrote in the margins like, nobody would say this in real life. Like, I feel like sometimes she would try to get a point across, and just the dialogue felt a little bit, not necessarily cheesy, but like I don't know. I mean, I could try to find examples because I did underline it in that book, but it just felt a little unrealistic at times, the way that like people were speaking to the main characters. I'm like, nobody would say that in real life, but it was like to cause tension and stuff. But I am loving the writing in this one, and like the tension already is insane. So yeah, really liking this book. And oh, the mom, the reason why the mom is not in the picture. So Cade and the mom grew up together, and she was obsessed with him all through childhood, and he was kind of like whatever about her, like didn't love her, but was like kind of entertained it for a minute. And she accidentally got pregnant, and when she got pregnant, they got together and like tried to do the whole family thing. And then she left when Luke was 2 years old, and Luke was like, when he was talking to Willa in the beginning and like introducing themselves, he was talking about how amazing his dad is, but his mom left and she doesn't visit. So I don't know if the mom moved to another state or what, but she's not in the picture at all. Cade's a single dad. He's running this family farm. His dad helps from time to time. We got Summer and the main guy from the first book, who I can't remember his name, but he was the bull rider. So yeah, but I really do like Willa as a main character. She is just funny. I think I just am relating to her a lot. And she's 25 too, which is crazy. I feel like this and Caught Up are so similar. I don't know if A Nordic King, the third book that I want to read, if that nanny is also like not really a nanny and just looking for something to do for a couple of months, but it's interesting that that's the same premise here. But yeah, really enjoying it, having a good time. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this while we're up at the lake, because it's like 7:30 right now probably, and we're gonna be leaving at like 2 o'clock tomorrow. So I'm gonna read as much as I can. I am just really loving it, but now that we have more people up here, it's kind of rude to like, when everyone's talking, just like be focused on my book all of the time. I see the hype with this one. I'm already having a really good time. Yeah. Heartless, very similar premise to Caught Up, but I'm liking the writing better in this one. So, yay!
Good, I'm glad you got that.
And we're home. Hello. I look like a tomato, but it's also because it's like almost 5 o'clock, so the sun is really hitting this window. I think it's just making me look more red. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're home. It is Saturday and I read a lot more of Heartless while we were at the lake this morning, and I only have like 50 pages left. So can't give a final rating right now, but just wanted to say we're home. I absolutely ate this up this morning. I think this morning I was on like page 220 something. Just read all of this. I don't know what got into me. I got up at 6:30 and Jordan was still sleeping until like a little bit after 8, and I didn't want to like be on my phone and wake him up, so I just went down to the little couch in the trailer and read all morning, and then went inside, grabbed a coffee, kept reading for a little while, then we made breakfast, cleaned up, and I just sat and talked with his grandma for like an hour or so. I love her. I learned a lot about her. Yeah, so we got home like an hour ago. I immediately watched my daily Love Island episode. It was the first Casa episode and it is insane. I want tomorrow's episode right now. I should have just saved it and like watched both of them tomorrow, but anyway, watched that while I kind of just like unpacked. So now I'm gonna sit down and finish this book, then I'll get back on and give you my final rating. What I read today, I really liked, but I just barely stopped off on the like third act conflict, and it is a trope that I hate. And this book was doing so good. Like literally 15 pages ago, I would have told you when I was like right here that it was a 5-star book, and then this just happened and I'm like, oh my god, I hate this trope. So hopefully that doesn't ruin the whole book for me. I mean, I'm already thinking of giving it a 4 instead of a 5. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'm gonna finish it. I'll come back and let you know my final rating. Hello, a couple hours later. The light is less intense. It's like 8 o'clock right now. And I finished my book. So yes, I'm going to land on a 4.5 star out of 5, but I'm gonna round it up to 5 on Goodreads when I rate it. So basically a 5. I'm just docking it that half star because of that trope that I hate, but it kind of makes sense for this story, I guess. I just hate it nonetheless, but Elsie Silver really did her damn thing with this one. The writing was so good, and I really just like both of these characters, especially together. I liked the little kid Luke, and normally I don't hate kids in stories, but I don't overly like them, but he was really cute in this one. And yeah, I just had so much fun. I'm happy that I read the majority of it up at the lake. It was just a very good setting for it. I mostly read it in the sun or just in the reading chair by the window, listening to the waves. It was gorgeous, and this book kept talking about the scenery and like the country aesthetic and like horses and stuff like that, and I saw so many horses this weekend. So yeah, it was just the perfect time to read it. Absolutely loved. Super close to a 5 star, not quite, but I read it in less than 48 hours. So it was such an amazing book, and yeah, just happy that I ticked off another one. And it's only Saturday night. It doesn't feel like a Saturday. Even my husband this morning was like, oh, I have to go to work tomorrow. And I was like, no, we don't. So it's amazing. We still have tomorrow off. I don't know if I'm gonna get this next one done by tomorrow night. That'd be amazing, but I at least want to start A Nordic King tonight. So for sure reading this one in this vlog, hopefully finish it by tomorrow, but if not, I will just keep reading it into the work week and end the vlog whenever I give my wrap up on this. But yes, another single dad romance. He's a king, and I'm excited to get started. I'm going to read the back really quick and I will give you some insight. Okay, cool. So he is a widow. That's what happened to the mom of the 2 little girls, the princesses of Denmark. And my new home, the Royal Palace in Copenhagen. Okay, and the death was recent because it's talking about the girls still grieving the loss of their mother. And the dad is cold, mysterious, and moody. It ends at the very bottom with, you think it's bad being in love with your boss? Try falling in love with a king. Dramatic. But it makes sense that he would be like broody and upset in this one because his wife just recently passed away. So yeah, this one's gonna be interesting. I wonder how far apart it is from like when she dies to when the nanny gets hired on, but interesting. Apparently it's the 3rd book in this series, so I haven't read books 1 or 2, but with romance series you don't have to read all of the books in the series if they're about different couples, because you know what's gonna happen at the end of a romance book. But excited to start this one nonetheless. Okay, same night. Sorry if you can hear fireworks. My neighbors really don't care that it's late, but I was about to go to bed. Wanted to give another update tonight because all this info is fresh in my brain right now. So I'm on page 52, not too far in, but I've learned a lot about like the situation and everything. So the king's name is Axel, and the nanny is Aurora, and the king's wife died 2 years ago. And yeah, he's kind of mourning her because obviously he loved her at one point, but the day that she died, he found out that she was cheating on him with her like butler slash bodyguard person that was always with her. So he shows up at their little like getaway island that they always go to be together. He shows up there and is like, hi, I'm surprising you on a trip because we never get to see each other anymore. I'm gonna drive you guys to the place or whatever. So it's weird that the king is the one driving, but he kind of shows up out of the blue and they're like, oh my god, does he know? So they get in the car. The wife sits in the back seat and they're driving, and then while they're driving, the king confronts them and is like, you're a whore to his wife. He's like, you've been fucking around on me. To the butler, he's like, you're fucking my wife. And then they all start fighting in the car. It's, you know, chaotic, icy road. The car spins out, it flips over like while they're arguing and he's like confronting his wife about cheating on him. They get in a car accident, she flies through the windshield and dies. So yes, he's grieving his wife, kind of, but it's been 2 years, and he also kind of hates her because she cheated on him for a long time. So that's that story. And then in the nanny's perspective, her name's Aurora, and she is like a professional nanny. She's been nannying for 7 years. She's Australian, but she's been living in Paris, being like an au pair and nannying for a couple of different families. And she quit her most recent job because she's never worked for a single dad before. She's always worked for like married men and their wives and like families, you know. But her most recent job, the married man was hitting on her and like not being appropriate, and the little kid was an asshole that she hated. So she quit that job, and she was going to the temp agency to tell her like, hey, I don't know if I want to be doing this nannying thing anymore. Like, I'm kind of looking for a change in my life. And the temp agency was like, no, you have too much experience, you're really good at this job, and I have this job for you. So she kind of reluctantly goes to this interview with the king's aunt. Obviously she doesn't know it's the king's aunt, but she goes to this interview and, you know, makes it to the next process. And the temp agency tells her, okay, you're going to be flown to Copenhagen for your second interview. You're going to meet the little girls, and also it's royalty, like the family's royalty. So, you know, now she's gone and met the girls. They've fallen in love with her. The king doesn't really like her because he's being a little bit, he wants an old ugly nanny. He doesn't want like a young hot one, you know, for reasons, I guess. So that's what's going on. The king is grumpy and like overprotective of his daughters, which is what the theme is with these single dad romances. That's what I'm learning, is if you want a grumpy main character for the man, do a single dad romance, because they're always grumpy and overprotective over their kids and like not wanting to fall in love again because it didn't work out the first time for one reason or another. And then the daughters are 5 and 6, so they're just little girls, and their names are Clara and Freya. So yeah, that is what's going on. I figured I'd give an update before I go to bed, or tried to go to bed with all these fireworks. Hopefully I can fall asleep. But yeah, made it up to page 52. I am really liking the writing. Like, there's been some good lines, not like the last book as far as like, I really liked Heartless because of the dialogue and the characters were like really witty and bantery with each other. But I like the writing in this book of just like the overall narrator of the story. We got a nanny who's an actual nanny, does this professionally, but you know, she's kind of reluctantly doing this job anyway. A grumpy man. Oh, and the reason why he's a king so young, because he's 40, so he's like young and hot, and this nanny is like, oh my god, this king is so handsome. The reason why he's a king so young is because his dad had a heart attack unexpectedly, and then his mom, who is the queen, is not all there mentally. She has like Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that. So he was thrust into the king role very swiftly and like wasn't really prepared at all for it. So anyway, that's what I've learned. And Aurora just accepted the job. She's going back to France to pack up, and then she's moving into the palace. So cool. That's my update tonight. Gonna go to bed. Talk to you tomorrow. Hello, good morning. It is Monday morning, and I didn't vlog anything yesterday on Sunday. Kind of just a boring day. I'm happy that I updated Saturday night, because Saturday night was the last time I felt any excitement towards this book. I did make it through halfway through A Nordic King yesterday. I read like 100 and something pages, and if I wasn't doing this video right now, I probably wouldn't have. It's gotten more boring since we last talked. In the beginning, I feel like I was finding everything out, as far as like the backstory, what happened to the queen, all of that, and everything is much more dramatic than it needs to be because it's royalty. But I love that. Like if I'm reading a book, I want to be invested, and I was in the beginning. I was highlighting, I feel like, until I got to page like 60, and then now I'm on page 178, and there is next to no like annotations or anything in this book. It has been so weird. I feel very disconnected from the main characters because if we're in her head, she's like, oh my god, he's so handsome. She's like, I think I have a crush on him, but also like calls him king asshole, because every time they actually have an interaction, like nothing happens. They don't say anything of any meaning to each other. It's just like they have these normal conversations, and then in their heads they're like, oh my god, she's such a temptation and all this stuff. And I'm like, where is this coming from? You guys literally, like, you've had minimal interactions. They really have not interacted a lot. And we're halfway through the book. It's doing these time jumps that are also really frustrating because, okay, they'll have this like lackluster interaction where they're just like awkward. He's kind of a dick. She's cried twice. He's made her cry twice because he's so mean. And then he makes her cry. And then he's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean. And she's like, ugh. She just like runs away. And it's so weird. Honestly, I don't know what the fuck this book is. But they'll have this interaction. He'll make her cry and then be nice to her because he made her cry. Then they'll part ways. And then next chapter, and it's like 3 weeks later. And I'm like, okay, well, what happened in those 3 weeks? Like multiple times, it's just jumped forward in time. And I know that like sometimes you need to do that to show that like it's not insta love and time is passing and stuff. But like give me a little bit of something, because it's doing a lot of telling and not showing. Like it'll skip 3 weeks and it's like, oh, tension has been building, but it won't show anything of like, I don't know. I don't feel connected to these characters at all. I'm halfway through the book. They've had almost no interaction, and like they've only ever been kind of dicks to each other. It was Christmas time. He got her a really thoughtful Christmas gift. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I feel like it should be crazy dramatic because it's royalty, and it was in the beginning. And then the last 130 pages or whatever that I've read have just been like boring as fuck. I feel so disconnected. The narrator of the story, that's where the actual like writing is. Is the narrator telling you what's happening, but then in the actual dialogue between these characters, nothing is happening. So that's a Nordic King, and I do have to go into work now, so this vlog will be extended until I finish this book. I'm at 50%. Hopefully it doesn't take me more than a couple of days, just because, you know, I'm gonna have to be going to work, so I won't have as much time to read as I have over the weekend. But yeah, I will let you know hopefully when I finish this. I'm hoping to just power through the second half. But yes, I will talk to you later. Gotta get my shoes on, go to work. But very sad. I'm feeling very lackluster about this last read. Maybe it's because I just read 2 really good romances with this trope. So I'm like, I know that this could be done better because there's no tension when I feel like there should be so much tension. He's the literal king and there's nothing. There's literally nothing. So disappointed is an understatement. I hope I didn't like have this on my TBR for 5 years, finally pick it up, and then hate it. Hate when that happens. But anyway, I'll let you know when I made more progress. Hello, welcome to the end of the vlog. It is actually 2 days later. It's Wednesday morning, and I have officially decided to give up on A Nordic King. I read a little bit of this on Monday when I was at work, but I only made it through a couple more chapters. I'm on page 192, so it's 55% of the way done, and I am not into it, unfortunately. I read a little bit Monday. Yesterday, I didn't pick it up at all. I didn't read one page, and then this morning, like, I looked at it, and I was just like, I don't care. And if I pushed through and I read the last 45%, I know that it would be a 2 at best, maybe a 3-star. And life is too short to push through on terrible books. So I'm officially giving up. And yeah, honestly, I just felt such a disconnect from these characters. Like, even the page before the one I'm giving up on, she literally in her own head is like, I love him and it's killing me that I can't have him. It's killing me that I swear he wants me to, but neither of us are brave enough to act upon it. And I'm like, now you love him? Like, oh, it's so ridiculous to me. This is doing a lot of telling and very little showing, and that's just not my kind of book. I don't always need to care about the main characters, but in a romance, I feel like I need to care about at least one of them to be like rooting for the relationship. But when you don't care about either of them, it's just like, okay, there's literally no point for me to finish this because I don't care about seeing like their happily ever after, if I'm honest. So I'm officially giving up. Yeah, and this is just going to be a DNF, so not a rating. I feel like if I pushed through it, probably would have been a 2 stars. But to wrap up this video, on my order of favorites, Heartless was so good. If you're looking for a single dad romance, definitely recommend. Caught Up was right behind. And in Nordic King, unfortunately, I'm going to put it in my unhaul pile and get rid of it because I never have the intention of figuring out this couple's love story. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video if you made it to the end. All my socials are linked down below like always, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!